What up, y'all? It's your boy Big C, back here with another video. We are now 3 days into the 2020 NBA offseason, and though it hasn't been as tense as the 2019 NBA offseason, there have been very many pickups by many different teams that will shape how the 2020-2021 NBA season goes. Today we're going to talk about 3 of the biggest winners of the 2020 NBA offseason thus far, and how I think it'll shape the 2020-2021 NBA season going forward. Let's waste no time and hop into this by talking about the Milwaukee Bucks, who started off the offseason hot, trading for Jrue Holiday. In the 4-team trade involving the Bucks, the Pelicans, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Denver Nuggets, they traded away Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, 3 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps while receiving Jrue Holiday from the Pelicans and pick number 60, who ended up being Sam Merrill. Last season on the New Orleans Pelicans, Jrue Holiday averaged 19 points per game, 7 assists, and a steal and a half, alongside his spectacular defense. Jrue Holiday's defense, next to an already great defensive team, Milwaukee Bucks, could convince Giannis that the Bucks are willing to trade all of their assets to get stars next to him to win a championship. This could end up finally convincing Giannis to sign that long-term deal in Milwaukee and keep Milwaukee on the map for as long as Giannis is in the league. Along with this big trade, they also signed big players like Bobby Portis, DJ Augustin, Tory Craig, and Bryn Forbes. Last year in the New York Knicks, Bobby Portis averaged 10 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, while shooting 45% from the field, 36 from 3, and 76 from the line. They signed him to a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. He can come off the bench in Milwaukee as a stretch 4 or a stretch 5 and add instant offense to the Milwaukee bench. After losing out on their 2 point guards in George Hill and Eric Bledsoe in the 4-team trade, they picked up a veteran point guard in DJ Augustin out of Orlando on a 3-year, $21 million deal. Last year in Orlando, he averaged 10.5 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, while shooting decently efficient from the field with 40% from the field, 35 from 3, and an immaculate 89% from the free throw line. From the Denver Nuggets last season, they signed Tory Craig to a minimum deal to come play defense off their bench. Although Tory Craig isn't anything amazing offensively, while only averaging 5.5 points per game last season, while not shooting it very efficient, he is an amazing defender that can defend many of the great small forwards in the league today. Off their bench, he'll be an amazing defender, adding to an already amazing defensive team. From San Antonio, they picked up an instant bucket and a very good defender, Bryn Forbes, on a 2-year deal for an unknown amount of money at this point. Last year on the Spurs, he averaged 11 points per game, 2 assists, while shooting 42 from the field, almost 40% from 3, and 83 on the line. He'll be a great pickup for the Milwaukee Bucks to come off their bench, and their bench depth this year will be even better than it was last year, making them an even better team than they were last year. The record may not show it, but they should be favorites to come out of the East this year. The Milwaukee Bucks, although it seems they lost out on players like Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, and Dante DiVincenzo, they added players like Bobby Portis and Jrue Holiday that will instantly make them favorites to come out of the East. The Milwaukee Bucks got very much better this year, and they should be even better this year than they were last year, adding offense to that amazing defense from last season. The next team we're going to talk about is the Atlanta Hawks, who have made 3 great signings in free agency and 1 great draft pick. They've started off free agency by signing Danilo Gallinari, who was on the OKC Thunder last year, to a 3-year, $61.5 million deal. Last year on the surprising OKC Thunder, he averaged 19 points per game, 5 rebounds, while shooting 44 from the field, an amazing 41 from 3, and 89 from the line. His abilities as a stretch 4 will fit perfectly in Atlanta at either the 3 or the 4, which allows them to have even more offense than they did next year. Though Danilo Gallinari's defense is as lackluster as Trae Young and John Collins, they made 2 great defensive point guard signings in Rajon Rondo and Chris Dunn. They signed Rajon Rondo after making a resurgence to his career for the LA Lakers in the playoffs last year to a 2-year, $5.2 million deal. Last year, Rondo averaged 7 points per game, 5 assists, and a steal for the Lakers. Rondo, along with Chris Dunn, their next signing, who they signed to a 2-year, $10 million deal of the Chicago Bulls. Last year, Chris Dunn averaged 7 points per game, 3.5 assists per game, and a league-leading 2 steals per game. These 2 point guards are 2 of the best defensive point guards in the league and will help Trae Young's lackluster defense not to be that harmful to the Atlanta Hawks' success this season. In the 2020 NBA Draft, with pick 6, the Atlanta Hawks selected Neca Kung Wu out of USC, and he'll be a great defensive player off their bench after averaging 16 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and 3 blocks per game on USC last season while shooting 62% from the field. The Hawks offseason allowed them to get much better defensively, as well as getting even better on offense. Final team that I'm going to talk about today is the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers began the offseason by adding Dennis Schroeder out of OKC. They traded Danny Green and picked 28, which ended up being Jaden McDaniels, for Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder finally gives them a solidified big three while averaging 19 points per game, 4 assists per game, 47% from the field, and 39 from three, as well as 84 from the line last year, while also placing second in the Sixth Man of the Year award race. Dennis Schroeder gives them that solidified point guard who provides instant offense. Throughout the playoffs and throughout the season, Anthony Davis and LeBron James both had a couple moments where neither of them could really make shots, and those were the games they lost. But with a third person like Dennis Schroeder in their starting lineup, when the two of them are missing, they might finally have that third person who can hit a shot or two. Their first big signing of the offseason was Sixth Man of the Year award winner Montrezl Harrell from the Los Angeles Clippers. They signed him to a steal of a contract at 2 years, $19 million. Last year, when he won Sixth Man of the Year, he averaged 18.5 points per game, 7 rebounds, a block per game, and 58% from the field. Montrezl Harrell was a spark plug off the bench along with Lou Williams on the Clippers last year, and whether they start their new center, who we'll talk about in a second, or Montrezl Harrell, the Lakers have that solidified big man that they didn't have JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard last season. Their next big signing was Marc Gasol from the Toronto Raptors. Although last season was Marc Gasol's worst year in the league, most likely, Marc Gasol ended up getting himself a 2-year, $2.7 million deal, a veteran's minimum. Last season, he averaged 7.5 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and a block while shooting 39 from 3. Off the bench last year behind Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol gave the Raptors very many good minutes while providing three-point making, post offense, and great defense. Marc Gasol will either be a great starting center or a backup center of the Los Angeles Lakers this year. The Lakers' final signing of the offseason thus far is Wesley Matthews from the Milwaukee Bucks. They signed a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. Last year on the Bucks, he averaged 7.5 points per game, half a steal per game, while shooting 40% from the field, 36 from three, and nearly 80% from the line. Wesley Matthews, throughout his career, whether it be in Portland or Milwaukee or any of the other teams he was on, has also always been a consistent three-point shot hitter. The Lakers had a very big lack of three-point shooting last year because Danny Green and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope consistently had cold stretches last season. Wesley Matthews can give them that three-point shooting that they need after trading Danny Green. And the Lakers ended up coming out of this offseason thus far an even better team than they were last year. The Lakers will be even scarier this year than they were last year, with a healthy LeBron James, healthy Anthony Davis, along with players like Kyle Kuzma, and their 2 Sixth Man of the Year finalists, Montrezl Harrell and Dennis Schroeder. The Lakers are going to be a force to reckon with this year. They already won the title last year, and as you can probably tell, the Lakers may not be my favorite team, but they sure will be fun to watch this year. To end the video, I just wanted to say that this will not be my final free agent / off-season video. Once the off-season is over, I'll make sure to make at least one more video recapping the off-season, telling you how I think next season will play out. For now, this is Big C, and I'll see you next time.